a major hub in the south side of Singapore, a port of call for tourists in a brutalist shopping mall right next door to the biggest in the country. We'll take a brief look into the building's history, share some memories, and give the place a final farewell after 49 years of service. Hi there, my name's Abraham. I'm your local foreigner, and I'm just a transport and urbanization nerd who likes to share stories about the places we sometimes don't really bat an eye on. And today, we're going to be exploring a place that has pioneered a lot of things for the country. On our little itinerary, we'll be taking a look at HarbourFront and saying farewell to the place the train station is named after. So let's check it out. HarbourFront Station to open in 2003 and serves two lines, the North East Line and the Circle Line, which opened in 2011. It's been the terminal for both lines until 12 July 2026, when the Circle Line finally completes its loop. Both stations are island platforms, each with its own distinct look and feel. Transfers are made by walking out from one platform via escalator or lift. The design of the North East Line focuses on HarbourFront's maritime and port history, with cool blue walls bringing to mind ocean waves, not to be confused with the Studio Ghibli film. These walls also contain the enigmatic appearances artwork and a set of comics designed by local students. HarbourFront's elliptical concourse is reminiscent of a ship's hull. Just don't stand by the bow section and say I'm king of the world. The Circle Line section goes on a slightly different tangent on waves. Rather than water, it focuses on the wave of human traffic, with its artwork called Commuting Waves. It is a bright red wall with unusual waveforms attached to them. It serves as a striking counterpoint to the North East Line's serene sailing theme. As serene as the place can be. Even the seats at the Circle Line are art themselves, called Matrix, a simple idea of the station's name written in dot matrix style. There are 3 gantries and 5 exits. The left and right gantries by the North East Line aren't as utilized, but can help you escape the crowd, though you may have to dodge the odd insurance roadshow or two. For the 5 exits, Exit A will take you to the bus interchange and the Sia Im Food Centre. Exit B will take you to HarbourFront and the Singapore Cruise Centre. It's also where you can make your way to the cable cars. Exit C takes us to the bus stop outside Vivo City towards St. James Power Station, where we can walk right under the Sentosa Express. Exit D leads to the Travelodge Hotel. The Masjid Temenggong Daing Ibrahim Mosque, forgive me for my pronunciation, and walk up the many steps towards Mount Faber Park. And finally, Exit E, the busiest of them all, into the basement of Vivo City itself. Having both the biggest mall and an interchange of the Circle Line made HarbourFront the 12th busiest station of the entire system, according to a very diligent Redditor and local statisticians. But before we continue into Vivo, let's take a look back at the place that the station's named after, HarbourFront Centre. But it didn't start as HarbourFront. It in fact started out as the World Trade Center, which opened in 1977. The name was changed to HarbourFront Centre upon reopening in 2003. In line with the new train station. The renovation included a new glass facade in the forefront of the brutalist style block. Right at the end is the Singapore Cruise Centre with its iconic circular welcome sign. Across the road is the new temporary cruise centre, and operations were made official on 7th July 2026. In its heyday as the World Trade Center, it housed an auditorium and a clubhouse. And where Vivo City currently stands, the space was once home to the World Trade Center, Expo Gateway, and Harbour Pavilion. The Expo Gateway was a massive MICE hall, MICE meaning meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions. And it housed many events. The list is actually quite astounding, from like book fairs, IT shows, concerts. As I was researching, we had names like Cyndi Lauper, BB King, Alanis Morissette perform over here. There was even a Miss Universe pageant in 1987, hosted by Bob Barker. I love The Price is Right. But for me, my personal memory was when Madame Tussauds first came here in 1999. And I brought some pictures with me from that day. I'm not in any of the pictures because I was such a shy person. I kept rejecting it anytime my mom wanted to take pictures. I wish I was in those pictures. Got here some like Queen Victoria. I got the Queen. Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. Saddam Hussein. Well, you can have a look here. There is Saddam Hussein. And good old David Copperfield. Look at that. Him flying up in the air just like he did back in the day when he was relevant anyway. This probably shows my age. But this is, for me, my core memory. Sadly, the Expo Gateway was taken down to make way for the MRT station and eventually Vivo City. The entirety of the old convention center only lasted for about 20 years. The construction of the MRT and Vivo City and the removal of the auditorium, HarbourFront Centre lost its purpose as a hub for events and just became another mall. It left HarbourFront having its own niche, boasting an eclectic collection of shops, eateries, and amenities, from daycare and tuition centers, a figurine store, even an escape room. The third floor also has the tuck shop, a mini food court. There's also a shop dedicated to F1 merchandise. Speaking of F1, this accessory store holds a little bit of F1 history of its own. Kanzia accessory store over there. Before the pandemic, it was a shoe shop. It was called Andrea Moda. Now, it may not sound like much, but Andrea Moda was at one point an F1 team in the 1990s. Their owner, Andrea Sassetti, through mysterious means, got a lot of money and decided he wanted to pursue Formula One. He ended up becoming one of the worst teams that have ever existed. So when I was working here before the pandemic, it was very surreal to see the Andrea Moda name on the shop. They closed down just as COVID hit. It's a little bit of a factoid that I love to share with people. It's no surprise that the shops are doing closing down sales. Some have already relocated, others weren't so lucky through other circumstances, like the One Young Reflexology place. They didn't move out because of HarbourFront. They moved out because they went out of business. This was back in November of last year, and the most surreal thing is that when you look inside, all their equipment is still inside. And Christmas decorations. Yes, they were going to celebrate Christmas, so it's all stuck in time. It's kind of unsettling, a little bit surreal to look in there. Real estate developer Mapletree planned to turn HarbourFront into a brand new 33-story tall mixed-use complex of glass and greenery. The new design is beautiful, with a strange trend of buildings looking like air purifiers. It will be the end of an era for Old HarbourFront, a place that has served many locals and travelers for nearly 5 decades. When I worked at Sentosa, HarbourFront was my little safe haven. That lull period between going home and just coming out of work. I'll chill out here, relax, unwind, have dinner, and then squeeze my way into the train home. This area was a safe haven. The calm next to the storm that is Vivo City next door. This is something that I think a lot of people will miss when this building goes away. As a mall with much of its infrastructure built in the 70s and renovated in the 2000s, it's a tough sell for any traveler or local to find reason to check HarbourFront over Vivo City. besides getting tickets for a ferry to Batam. There's very little chance of it competing against the scale of Vivo City. Speaking of which, it's time to visit the beast itself, the biggest mall in the country. It's directly connected via the second and third floors. And while Harbourfront may be taller, most of its floors are used for office space and parking. Vivo is the shopping mecca, and it knows it. Rather than the quirky collection of its neighbor, we have Tommy Hilfiger, Nike, and Rolex, to name a few, a way higher end clientele. While you can't really compare the two buildings in almost every aspect, some design cues harken back to the old World Trade Center. One of them is the old amphitheater. Amphitheater would be situated right around this area next to World Trade Center itself. It was a circular amphitheater, elevated steps for people to sit down, and they could be able to see free performances from musicians to dancers and cultural events. With the incredible view of the old ferry terminal across at Sentosa, it gave this area a sense of vibrancy to it that people seem to talk about a lot when they reminisce of the old World Trade Center. My main memory here was just playing around, looking at the waters, and there used to be statues of seals nearby here, probably like right next to the amphitheater. So it definitely had more character, a different set of character compared to where it is now. No offense to the flowers that we have over here, they are still beautiful. Vivo has its own amphitheater, the Sky Park, but it's rarely utilized nowadays. At the risk of sounding like a boomer, I'm not exactly a big fan of this design and the way it's situated. It's at the back of Vivo City's Sky Park, which means you don't exactly have a great view of Sentosa from here, unlike the old amphitheater. I do appreciate the shelter compared to the old one. It means that events can go on unhindered, but it's wasted that it's not being used at all. The closest we have now is Esplanade's very own outdoor theater, which is designed very much like the seats of the old amphitheater, but with a dedicated stage rather than just an empty space right in the middle. So it's the closest we've got, along with the fact that they have the great Marina Bay skyline as a backdrop. Here it just does not compare. Also, I think the orange seats kind of ugly. For those curious, here's a little look of the Esplanade Outdoor Theatre. Of course, if they had moved the amphitheater a little further, barring any safety hazards, you could have had an amazing view with your events, barring the odd construction that's happening right across from here right now. I really like to say the word barring a lot, but the Sky Park is still a great place to hang out. It's a highlight for many of those visiting Vivo City, including myself. And well, Vivo City has always been this sort of space where me and my ex-colleagues would come out here, the Sky Park, just to hang out after work, be gossiping, playing games, all the way till 9:30 p.m. when we have to go. This place was always like the third space for a lot of people to hang out, chill out. It sort of like fills the void of what the old amphitheater was for many of us on the older generation back in the day. It's hard to emulate what that place was, but it's the closest it can get, even if the view of Sentosa has drastically changed over the last 20 odd years. It's amazing to think how the construction of the MRT and other halls like Singapore Expo impacted this area. With HarbourFront Centre struggling after the major redevelopments of the early 2000s, and Mapletree deciding to pull the plug on the big brutalist block after 49 years. It lost its main draw, purpose, and reached the end of its proverbial life cycle. Walking around HarbourFront admittedly feels like a time capsule of a mall aesthetic of the 2000s, still retained to this day. In essence, while the MRT and Vivo City brought new life, it came at the cost of HarbourFront Centre, and in a way, the history of the World Trade Center. While it isn't the most exciting location, it at least served a lot of firsts. From the first ever cruise center to the first ever large-scale MICE hall. Before Suntec City, before Singapore Expo, before Marina Bay Sands, this place walked so that they could run. And also, many on Reddit share about their own childhood memories. They would come here to visit our YY Arcade House, to play games, or just hang out at the McDonald's. I sure hung out at the McDonald's with my ex-colleagues back in the day too. So, it is sad to see it go. But after 49 years of service, we can tell HarbourFront Centre, or will always be the World Trade Center in my heart, thank you for giving us so many memories. And those memories we hold on to, and it would become history. And that is the most important thing. Well, it is a pretty quiet space, I mentioned before. There is another space, another place nearby that is much more peaceful and probably my favorite place to have a great view to look at the seaside. So let's check it out. We have to walk towards HarbourFront Tower, right over there past HarbourFront Centre. There's a lot of harbourfronts. If you're doing some sort of drinking game, you're gonna be KO'd by now. So let's just walk over there and I'll see you in a bit. Walking past Vivo City and HarbourFront, we pass the cable cars and HarbourFront Towers. Along the roadside are the Reef Residences, where we'll finally reach our final stop of today's little itinerary. A little place called King's Dock Park. And let's just have a little walk through before we continue. We're at King's Dock Park. What an amazing view we have here of both Sentosa and the incredible marina. There's a ferry over there. Probably the best view of the cable cars, besides being up at Mount Faber itself. Now, of course, here is mainly residences who walk by, those joggers, cyclists, or kids playing the playground. But the temporary cruise center is located right next to it. So the peace may be disturbed, but we'll see how it goes. Those people would mainly just rush off to the next part of the itinerary, and hopefully it won't affect the residents or people who use this park too much. But this also serves as a park connector. From here, you can walk towards Labrador Park. That bridge over there will lead you towards the Bukit Cermin boardwalk, and from that boardwalk is Labrador Park. So this walk here, you get to see not just the residences, there's the beautiful yacht marina, and at the end, closing towards Labrador Park, are the mangroves and forests. So you've got quite a lot of variety if you're a nature lover or walker to see and view from here. But for now, I'm just gonna chill out, relax, and look at the scenery. Whilst I'll say to you all, thank you so much for watching this. This is just a little project I'm doing for fun. I don't know where is it gonna go from here, but if you like it, give it a like, give it a subscribe, leave a comment, give some constructive feedback, and see where I can improve on, and see where this goes. I am your local foreigner. Thank you very much.